I want to talk about Darryn Peterson, who might go first overall in the NBA draft. We're sitting here at Cap One Arena ahead of a Wizards game. They could get the number 1 pick. They could take him number 1 overall. This is a superstar player in college who has been electing occasionally to sit games out or pull himself out of games. And I haven't really wanted to talk much about this because it's always uncomfortable to me when we're not involved and we're not doctors to question injuries and cramps and some of these things. But I feel like it's open season now, and you're seeing everybody talk about it because Bill Self has basically allowed us to.
Yeah.
When he came out and said, yeah, man, I can't help you on this one. We thought he was fine, and we thought he should play, and he said he wasn't fine, and he wasn't going to play. Now this allows us to go, okay, the quiet part's being said out loud here a little bit. This was Bill Self the other night after the game addressing his superstar player, pulling himself out of a game right after a three-pointer with 23 points early in the second half.
Well, we've had it more than a couple of times, and I didn't anticipate that tonight at all. I thought he was good to go, but obviously we only got 18 minutes out of him, and that's disappointing because he could have had a really big night. But one thing about it is it's happened often enough that our guys have learned to play without him, even though that's not the way we want to play. But that's certainly something that we're not unaccustomed to, right now.
It's become a national storyline. Scott Van Pelt on his Sports Center, which he does out of D.C., but a national broadcast. He does his One Big Thing. He editorialized about this.
What do you do with Darren Peterson? For years, you've heard me ask on the radio and here on TV this question: how good is your good? His good is as good as anyone in this loaded freshman class. Look at Mox. He's not the consensus number 1 pick, but you will find him there a bunch. Questions aren't about ability, but the vagueness that surround his availability throughout this season. Head coach Bill Self calls those narratives that surround him BS. But I disagree on one point. When the presumed number 1 player sits out a home game against unbeaten number 1 Arizona with the flu after having all these questions and managing the minutes throughout the season with other issues, it makes people wonder, not about his talent, but about those intangibles that can't really be measured.
The narrative is out there. And it was quiet, and I think you said this very well, until Bill Self this week finally was like, it sounded like a hostage video where he's like, listen, I don't know, man. Like I thought it was going to be better this time, and it wasn't.
I heard it as, you guys are right, and then he walked away.
Right?
That's what I heard.
I mean, again, he could have gone scorched earth. There's no upside in doing that, obviously, because again, money has already been paid to Peterson. They're much better with him than without him. He may be the best player in the country. And if he's not, he's 2. He's so incredible, but this is kind of the as you said, the quiet part out loud or the downside to opening these floodgates up with no enforcement, with no guardrails, with no CBA, with no recourse. Bill Self is stuck. What are you supposed to do? You're going to cut him? You're going to not play him? You're going to suspend him? Then it's money wasted. It's all the NIL deals, they don't come calling again. The agent won't steer players towards you. You got to play this game. And again, I'm not sitting here telling you that I feel sorry for college coaches. The pendulum has swung back violently where they had it their way for decades and Self enjoyed that. But my point is, I don't know that this is what we had in mind or envisioned with some pay the players. When it was like, young athlete Grant can go hang out at a car dealership and make $500 on a Sunday by taking some photos. That's what NIL was supposed to be. It's now just a giant payment system for guys. And, I don't know, man. This is kind of not the point to me. But
I have way more of an issue with this now in this era where you're paid to play. Not to sit, not to get ready for the NBA. You're paid to play. When you weren't paid to play, and this was amateur hour, and it was, as the best player in America, still just you readying yourself to be a man and a grown-up and to go make money and to play in the NBA. Okay, fine. You could add, subtract minutes here or there. You could sit games out and kind of operate that way. I think we're even headed this way to an extent when it comes to some of these bowls and things. Where it's like, wait a second, I'm giving you $8 million to be my quarterback, but because you're going to go 4th overall in the draft or something, you're now going to sit out the most important game of our season? Why am I giving you all of this money to be my quarterback, right? So if you're Darren Peterson and you're getting millions of dollars to play basketball. Right. I think that the
And again, he's been injured some. I want to make sure we're fair about that.
Yes.
There has been, and Bill Self has gone on record
but that's not
times.
what happened the other night,
and that's
according to Bill Self.
And that's not what happened the other night. And that's now it gives rise to, in a valid way, in my view, other questions. Where, okay, what about the other time he checked himself in early? What about the time that he had flu-like symptoms against Arizona? I think there's 2 or 3 other games where he's left early before playing even a full half of basketball. That now makes those where it was previously like, yeah, I guess you can't say anything. I guess he wasn't feeling well. I guess he was cramping. I guess it was this. Now it's like, okay, how much do you care? Right? I think that's valid now.
Michael Winger just walked past.
Yep.
I would have liked to have him sit down and answer. Hey, what do you make of this?
Hey, he didn't play for you yet, but what do you think about this?
First off, thoughts on Darren Peters as a scouting report.
Yeah.
Also, what are your thoughts on this controversy?
Right.
You should have grabbed it.
Where do you weigh in on that?
800-636-1067. Let's go to Alex, who's in King George. Alex, it's Grant and Danny. We're live at Capital One Arena. What do you make of what's going on at Kansas?
Well, you're talking to the biggest KU fan in Virginia, I can tell you that.
Whoa,
so
big words.
Here's my take. My take, I've been to 4 games this year, and when you watch his teammates play, you almost see an indifference on these guys. It's like that they have either accepted the situation or they have just said, forget about it. We're going to do what we do. They're so much fun to watch. Are we better without him? Absolutely not. We're not winning any championship without him on the court. But are they playing hard? Are they working hard and getting stuff done? 100% they are. And I agree. I think what Darren has done is going to change how NILs are done, because he has just kind of introduced this, well, we're going to do it in college now, and why wouldn't these big-time 5-stars now look at it and go, well, he got by with it, so what am I going to do to be able to get by with it? There's
no doubt, and it'll get more and more that way and worse, so to speak, where I believe he's the tip of the spear. In fact, I would say I have no doubt about that. This is new, but it's not going to be a one-off.
Right.
Why would anyone do it differently if he and his agent can dictate when he comes on and off the floor? The other thing is, it's so competitive to get a guy like that. What is Kansas going to do? Take a stand?
Totally.
And maybe Kansas can, and they can still be a 2-seed or a 3-seed and have a tournament run, but Villanova can't.
Right.
A lot of schools can't. So you're going to have to let him call the shots a little bit if you want him in your building in 95% of schools in America.
Yeah,
so that's what his agent and him are going to do, and it's what the next guy's going to do.
Yeah, it started, with Hunter Dickinson going, they said, what do you plan on doing next year? And he goes, whoever gives me the most money. I respected that. I mean, it was transparent. It was what it was. That's how this began. This is the next level. This, to your point, is I'm sitting out the bowl game because it's meaningless football and it's a dumb exhibition, and I don't really need a Palm Pilot from whatever Poulan Weed Eater Bowl. I'm preparing for the NFL draft, and I'm not going to get injured in the name of a nothing game. That's a 1 out of 10. This is now a 6 out of 10. The next one's going to be I'll play a couple games for you, but I'm really on to the next thing. If you want me at all, you still have to pay.
But it's not a bowl game.
Right?
It's a regular season game.
Oh, yeah.
And drive by drive, he's going, not this drive. I'm sitting out this series. I'll sit out this quarter. I don't feel great.
Right.
It's literally random games where he's just kind of picking and choosing. And if you believe the theory, I don't necessarily buy this, but the conspiracy theory of these people are like, look, his agent motions to him, and now he pulls himself out. That basically you just come over to the sideline after a drive, and he goes, not this drive. And so you're like, can't go this time, coach. And then in the fourth quarter, you might come back out there. That's what it is. It's regular season games and random plays in series if we're doing a football comp. That's just not how this has worked in the past. Barry's in Potomac Falls on Grant and Danny. What's up, Barry? How are you?
I'm good, and please don't hate me. I'm a huge college sports fan, but this is what's inherent in the world when you put so much money behind amateur sports. We're the only country in the world that follows amateur sports like this. The rest of the world says, get the best to the front of the line. I don't care how old you are. So you're going to have problems like this. And I don't know how you fix it. And the second thing is, it could be mental health. Whether it is or isn't, they could play on that. So I think that this is something that's going to happen more and more. And yes, if I was a player getting paid $4 million a year and I knew I was going pro, I'd sit out. I would sit out my bowl game. You cannot risk getting hurt. Look what just happened to Sidney Crosby in the Olympics. So I know you got a lot of calls, but it's going to be a fundamental challenge for
I appreciate you, man.
I'm sorry.
No, don't worry. No apologies necessary. Good
Great call. Thanks.
So the only part of that I would hesitate to say is ascribing a mental health diagnosis from afar. No idea on that. I have no clue. I don't want to start speculating in that regard.
Well, I think what he suggested was players could come and go from the floor or the field as they please, and whether it's true or not, say they're having something going on.
And that's what I wanted to get to. I don't know about this specific case, but it's absolutely on the table because you said it right. This is the tip of the spear where if you want these great players, you're going to have to play their game their way. Now, sometimes you'll just get A.J. DeBonsa, who's just all he wants to do is beat you. And he's playing against everybody. They don't quite have enough ammunition to beat the top teams in the country, but he's playing 40 minutes a night, scoring 39, and doing everything he possibly can. I got to bring him the comparison. I'm not getting too in-depth into Arkansas's bench rotations, but on the road in the SEC, Darren Acuff, who's going in the lottery, is going in the top 5 or 6 or 7, is going 50 minutes and scored 49 points in an overtime loss. Like, killing himself to compete and try to go win. And that's awesome, and it should be celebrated. And the flip side is, well, why wouldn't I just do that? Darren Peterson already made money coming out of high school, signed an NIL deal as a high school student, and now got millions from Kansas already. Doesn't have to do anything. It's going to be a top couple of pick. If that's rewarded, why wouldn't that incentivize others to follow in his footsteps, to your point?
I also wonder, as it pertains to the agent involvement, like if in fact that's what's happening here, and he's like, okay, you're done, don't play the rest of this game. Like, at what point do some schools just go to the agent and say, hey, give us your program that he's on this year? Because that's what it's going to take for us to get him. So they're not going to let you do that at Kansas, but guess what? We'll let you do it here. And the agent goes, yeah, we're going to play 17 games. We want no more than 20 minutes. And then you're on these restrictions, and it's like an arm with Tommy John or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could be headed there, too, where you have like 3 guys that you can only use for X minutes. Again, I could go through the numbers. I pulled them all up. Even in the games he's played, and it's only 15 of the 26 this season, he's played 30-plus minutes just 6 times.
Yeah.
I mean, that is not how you deploy the number 1 player in America.
And, again, he's incredible. If you haven't watched him, you can tune in and not see him maybe sometimes, but when he does play, you go, I get it.
Just tune in on the right game at the right time.
If it's the half that he decides to play, I'm doing a little bit of shtick here, but when you watch him, you go, it's all worth it. I get it. He's incredible, Grant.
There is a better sports conversation, too, that's like specific on the floor sports, which is actually about how this should affect his draft status. And like Michael Winger just walked through the concourse. We're at Capital One Arena. He runs all of Monumental Basketball, including the Wizards and the Mystics. Guys like him and GM Will Dawkins, how does it affect your scouting report and your eval of this player?
Could you trust that this will turn off when he gets to the pros?
I actually would trust that. I think it's interesting.
Because I would. He's been doing this in high school, too.
I did a podcast. Kirk Cousins was on. He asked me to jump on like the other day, and he said something funny. He's like, I now have this money, right? And he's like, all I want to do with my money is play more sports. He's like, when I was a kid, I was the kid that just played sports all day long. So me and my brother would be out in my yard playing sports. He'd be like 3 hours in. His brother would go back in and be like, all right, dude, I'm done. He just wanted to play basketball and play tennis and do everything else. He's like, now I just want to build a tennis court. I just want to, I just want to go build a golf course to play golf on in my backyard or whatever. And so my point is, I think he was trying to say, like, when you get money, you just become more of what you've always been.
Yeah.
So if this is a character thing, if this is who he is, like, he's not going to leave it all on the floor and I don't really care that much, then, yeah, that's going to get worse. But I don't think that's what this is. I think this is like the quarterback that doesn't want to play in the bowl game. I think this is just the guy protecting his body from what is a catastrophic injury potentially when you have a lot on the line. That's how I'm viewing this. And I've never had a problem with college players doing that.
Right.
Again, that was pre-NIL mostly. But I think it's the right thing to do. I agree with the caller. I'm not playing in a bowl game if I'm about to be a top pick. That's stupid. I'm going to cost myself millions. So in that sense, I think that's what he's doing. And I would still take him first if he was my best player. But it's a gamble. It's not a green flag that this guy is pulling himself out of games and telling his teammates, go handle this.
Yeah, I'd have to know. I'd have to know that this is something that's going to turn off, because if some of these issues are legit, by the way, which I have no doubt that some of them are, if he's cramping and then that's it for tonight, I'm in an Eastern Conference, got to have it game on the road against the Knicks, and it's like, well, I'm cramping. That's the end. Is it are we going through any adversity at any time, or is it just you were doing this before you got to the association? Because you're under contract, you're getting paid no matter what. Are you preserving yourself for the next contract? I don't know the answer.